are live.
Well, good afternoon everybody, and a very pleasant welcome from Juma Game Reserve here in the Sabi Sands. It's 23 degrees, that's why I'm saying it's pleasant. Believe me, if you were on drive this morning, it was freezing. So I'm very happy the sun's come out. It is absolutely gorgeous here, and we found some buffalo for everybody to start with. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Tara. For those of you who do know me, thank you so much for all your warm welcomes, and I'm so excited to do this drive for you. It is my farewell to Africa, so please don't make me cry. But yeah, hopefully we'll find some wonderful things for you this afternoon and have some wonderful memories to share for our lifetime. Joining me on camera is Jean-Andre, I'm hoping I'm saying that right. Jamie and the wildebeest, I'm told, is going over to Arathusa to go and see the lions, and back in final control, which is, I'm still getting used to it, is Tara and Nikki. So yeah, it's really weird having another Tara, but everybody has been absolutely fantastic in welcoming me. It is such a wonderful crew, and I'm sure you guys are going to have plenty of awesome memories to make with these guys as well. But I'm just so happy to be here, and I just can't wait to see what we're going to go and find. These boys don't look overly happy. They always look a little bit grumpy, unfortunately. That is the buffalo's way, and I've got a little story to tell you about these guys, because some of you might know where we are. You might have recognised it, but there is a little viewing platform right at the back, and actually I am giving my folks a whole tour of South Africa, where I've been for the last 10 years and meeting everybody. So they're back in final control. We're actually staying in Galago, which is the viewing platform. We saw these buffalo. I've been chilling with them all afternoon, so I thought it was very fitting to welcome you all. And we actually had 2 elephants. One of them was a bull, and Jean-Andre was actually saying to me that he has been around, he is in Must, and he was a little bit irritated with the buffalo, and as he started walking away, he actually slapped one of the buffalo with his trunk. So I think that's possibly why they're not looking so happy today. But absolutely wonderful. These are the Duggar boys. For those of you who don't know what a Duggar boy is, it's an old buffalo, and this is what they do best. They wallow around in water and mud all day, especially when it's very nice weather or very hot weather, to keep themselves cool, and also to have a bit of sun protection from the mud. Unfortunately, there's not much mud going around today. It's all drying up, which is the first thing that I've actually noticed being here in the Sabi Sands. We are definitely in need of rain, so we had the clouds as part of the opening shot, and I'm hoping after we finish drive it will rain, so keep your fingers crossed. For those of you who'd like to ask any questions, then send all your questions through to questions@wildearth.tv and #Safari Live if you want to make any comments. And I hope you enjoy the drive this afternoon, and I'm really hoping we get to see some lions. So shall we leave these grumpy old men and maybe go and see if we can find, I think, one of our favourite cats. They did have tracks of her hopefully this morning. We think it was her. So I think we're going to go to that area and see if we can maybe coax Karula out to say hi. So keep your fingers crossed. But let's see what else we find along the way. Who knows? This is the bush. It is live. Anything can happen, as my folks have actually been finding out. So if you're new to the programme, jump aboard. Let's go and see what we can find. Thank you so much. I'm hearing all the comments coming through. It is wonderful to be back, and guess who is joining us here? Oops, and I'm already trying to break her. There we are. Oh, you see, I have been getting used to her. We're getting used to each other again. She's an old faithful, and I've been talking to her very nicely. I'm trying not to break you, Jigger, I promise. But she's done us proud in the past. She is one of the best Land Rovers. She's just so nippy, she gets everywhere. it's great to hear from you. And some of you may not know what I left WildEarth. I was actually with WildEarth for about just under 2 years, about 3 years ago. And since then, I have been carrying out study on leopards in the Leidenburg area. And I've actually started doing a PhD. It was about 2 years ago now, so I'm going into my final year to write up a thesis. And that is the reason why, unfortunately, I am leaving South Africa. So I just get so distracted here. I can't finish writing anything. So I am going to be back in the UK to finish that off. But the research has been going really well. We've had some very positive comments coming back from the Parks Board and the authorities, and hopefully we can actually add to leopard conservation in the future, which will be absolutely amazing. I have been collecting data to be able to write papers for the PhD, but they'll also, as I say, help to stand up and we can have that scientific evidence to back up what we believe is right for leopard conservation, and that's what I've been doing for the last just over 3 years now. So I'm trying to remember the names of all the roads, so apologies if I forget to tell you which road we're on. We are on Vubu Road at the moment, which means hippo. And we have been seeing a few hippo around, but unfortunately, as I say, lack of water, the dams, there's some more Duggar boys in the bush there. The dams are looking a little bit empty. We are going into a drought for the next couple of years, apparently it's predicted. So it's going to be an interesting time to see how everything copes with that dry heat. There goes the boys. So unfortunately that's why there is a lack of mud on these Duggar boys. And it is Zulu for mud. Now these old buffalo boys, they would have moved out from the herds, and we actually were lucky enough to see probably about 300, 400 herd numbers this morning. And they can no longer keep up with the females and the calves and the boys who are pretty old, pretty in the prime. So these old boys actually fall further and further behind, and you go, you know what, you guys carry on, I'm going to go to where it's nice soft grass and I can take my time. And that's why you see these old bulls moving away from the herds. I'm going to carry on looking for hopefully Karula and other animals for you, but Jamie has got some elephants for you, so we're going to switch over to Jamie now. Enjoy the elephants and hopefully you'll be back soon. Bye for now.
Oh, good afternoon everybody, and welcome to the sunset safari and one rather shy bull elephant. Give me one moment, I'm just going to reverse back a little bit so we can have a good look at him. See if we can get him in view. Hello boy, what's up? Here's the rest of your family. This is a teenager. He's right on the cusp of getting to that point where he's on the outskirts of the herd all the time, getting ready for that time when he's going to head off on his own and find the company of other males instead of the herd that he's been with his whole life. Generally these little boys are a little bit more nervous because they're out on their own for the first time. Look at the way he maneuvered that direct crunch. Anyway, for those of you who don't know, my name is Jamie, and I have VM on the back on camera with me this afternoon. And I'm sure that you are all absolutely thrilled to have Tara back in the driver's seat. It's been an amazing experience to get to meet her. And VM and myself have returned onto Arethusa to follow up on the unfolding lion drama, which I'm going to fill you in on a moment. But for now, we'll enjoy the peace of this young boy. He's calmed down a lot now. Enjoying a quick feed. There's been an enormous amount of elephants on Arethusa. It's quite a funny body posture that he's just adopted. Hello boy. You've got to see his tongue fold a little bit there. Shuffle back a little bit more. Try and keep him in view. He's being very obliging, but I think he is going to move off soon. Elephant profile. He's just at the stage where you can start to see the thickening at the base of his tusks. It determines that he is a young male. They're sometimes difficult. Okay, I know that now is not the best time to have said that actually, but they are sometimes difficult to tell from females when they're at this age. They haven't got the nice rounded forehead shape, and when certain parts of their anatomy are not always visible, as they are at the moment, can be a little bit tricky. He's, I think, going to move out of our view very, very soon. We'll go back one more time, and then we'll chat a little bit about what has transpired with the lions. And I have a chance to redeem myself from my tracking confusion this morning. Okay, well, I know that many of you are interested in what's been happening with those lions. So let's transport ourselves back briefly to yesterday afternoon. Now yesterday afternoon the Salalas were still around feeding on that buffalo kill around Red Dam, and they started to move towards the southwest, towards the big Arethusa Dam. But unfortunately for them, the Birmingham boys were hanging around there as well. Now this morning when I was out tracking, we heard lions calling, and I was trying to follow tracks, but they were going in every direction, everywhere. There were just lion tracks, forwards, backwards, upwards, downwards. What has transpired? I managed to get hold of one of the Arethusa guides. First of all, at least 4 out of the 5 Birminghams are on Torchwood at the moment, but last night, unfortunately, they did come to blows with the Tsalala Pride. They did meet up. Now, we did speak about that as a possibility, as the potential of the threat, especially to those 3 young males. The Tsalalas have fled to Elephant Plains. That's where they're sitting at the moment. That's why their tracks were all over the show around Zebra Drive. One of the young males is injured. He's quite seriously injured. He's been bitten on the back, and the other one is completely missing. And what I'm doing at the moment is I'm traversing the area between where I know the Birmingham boys were at that corner where we stopped for the tracks and Elephant Plains, because there's been no sign of him so far. And we're going to see if we can follow up on where he might be. If I do find his tracks, however, I'm not going to be out walking him. If he has been in a fight with Birmingham boys, that makes him an exceptionally dangerous animal to go and walk if he's injured lying in the shade somewhere. But we're going to try and see if we can follow up. Maybe he's returned to the safety of that drainage line and around that buffalo kill. Right, well, that is my plan for this afternoon. I know that it is sad news to hear, and of course we're all holding thumbs that that young male is okay. Maybe he just got separated from the rest of his pride and is making his way there, but we'd want to just check and see if we can find him. And whilst I do that, let's head back across to Tara, because I'm sure you're eager to spend as much time with her as possible, and I will be back with you a little bit later.
Welcome back, everybody, and we've just had a beautiful sighting of the zebra, and literally, they always say don't work with children and animals because they're so unpredictable. Literally, as we were having the link, the zebra decided, no, we want to go and eat some grass now. But we have some virtual zebra here for you, and some wildebeest going to be joining the shot very shortly, and there has been some impala around. And one of the male impala were giving an alarm call, so there was a bit of excitement there, so I was trying to work out what was going on. But I think he's a little bit confused. He's still not sure, and you might have picked up, I don't know actually if these microphones are picking up, because the technology has got so much better from a few years ago. But if you are picking up the wind, that does confuse the animals quite a lot, because they can't pick up where the smell and the sounds as easily. They get very confused, they get very skittish, and I think possibly that was what was happening with that male. The females kind of looked up and went, oh, you're giving an alarm call? Okay, well, maybe we'll move away from where you're thinking there's something there. But he's gone back to see if there was anything. We couldn't see anything. Oh, and now he's walking up. There you go. So you can see he's still looking behind him. But you can see all the bushes moving around. And believe me, that wind had a nasty nip in the air. And I do wonder if somebody had snow. And apparently there was a forecast for snow over the last couple of days. I think somewhere down on the southeast coast, somewhere that side. And apparently there's a heat warning for Limpopo. So yeah, crazy times here. There go the virtual zebra. That beautiful shadow stripe. I don't know if you saw that earlier. I'll see if it can move again, so you might be able to see them through the bush. There you go. You should be able to make out that brown shadow stripe in amongst all the black stripes, and that is unique to the virtual zebra. You might notice the stripes are quite thick as well, whereas if you go to East Africa where the Grevy's zebra are, they're very thin. And then you have the male impala in the front there. Now here's a ram, and I only found out the other day what makes a ram, or the females are also called ewes, as you get to the larger antelope. And I wonder if we can scan left. I think just, oh, there we go. He's going to come back this way. This male is causing all sorts of problems. Sure, nicely done. Wow, what great camera work. But check it, he's just causing so many problems. He's chasing, it looks like it is a female he's chasing. He's a little bit early for the rut. But hopefully you picked up that snorting, and you might have heard a little bit of a grunt as well. They kind of at the end. Not the world's greatest impression, but hopefully it gives you an idea. Such a beautiful antelope, but it makes quite a odd sound for such a stunning antelope. Don't know if you picked that up. I think that was a little bit too far away. But yeah, he's just causing problems now. So with the wind, he's confusing these females, and then he's chasing them all over the show. But what they will do during the rut is herd the females together, and it's almost like that's what he's doing. Now it could be, because it's dry, maybe it's triggering them to actually start rutting, even though it's not the right time of year. It tends to happen around March, April time. They do tend to have a late rut as well, so the females who don't get mated with around that period, they'll mate with them around the September time. So it could have been that it's been a bit delayed for the second rut, and this could be the second rut, because he's certainly showing the sign of herding the females. I think we need to maybe move up again. But the rut is usually triggered by the shortening of the day and the change in nutrients in the grass. So I have heard some people say they haven't had the second rut. I think my friend in Kruger said they didn't see a second rut in Kruger, so it could be this is the second rut and it's just been delayed. But you can see the males through there, they've got some beautiful horns on them. These boys are in good condition. Their necks not as fat as what they usually get to when it's the full rut, but the September rut is usually very short. I say it's just usually for if there's a few females that weren't made pregnant during the March, April, May time. Yeah, he's just in front. The one that's causing all the problems, he's just in front of us. There he goes again. Ah, brilliant. So Nikki's saying that they haven't had the second rut yet, so this is probably what is going on then. The last rut was in May. And it looks like there was maybe a small female knocking around here that would have been from the second rut last year, and I think it's there. I've just parked right behind the bush for you. Come back this way. Can you see how much smaller she is? So she's not from, the females are almost ready to drop the lambs. That will be happening in the next month or so. Yeah, well, we're in November now actually, so November, December. So she's just that little bit too small to be a full yearling. So she would have been from the second rut last year. That'll be one there. So I was saying earlier, I just found out the difference with the antelope. So the males are called rams, the females are called ewes for impala and the smaller antelope. But then you get larger antelope like the wildebeest, and they get called bulls and cows, and then the offspring is calves, and with the impala and the small antelope the offspring is lambs. Now the cutoff is a nyala, which the male looks very different to a female. He's twice the size, but it's actually the amount of teats that they have. So apparently the ewes have one set and the cows have two sets, and I didn't realise that was a difference. So last week, and there is actually a wildebeest. If we can scan to the left, there it is. And our noisy impala again. Hi, Lisa and Margaret. I'm sure we will. Lisa and Margaret saying, I hope we have a whodunit. But look at this wildy. Now it could be that he's got a midden over there, and that is one thing they really like to do, is roll in dung, because apparently the females find it attractive. Whoever told them that, I don't know, but apparently they do. So it is possible. Yeah, is that him toileting there as well? So he will use the same area, to go to the toilet. That's what's called a midden. But he is actually a bit picky. He won't roll in fresh dung, he'll wait until it's dried. So he'll have a few middens dotted around, and then he gets his scent all over him as well. That's also why he's on his own. So he's a territorial bull, but it's very common to see territorial animals when there's a chance to be with other animals, they will be with those animals for safety in numbers. Because if he's holding on to his territory, he needs to make sure he's here so that no other wildebeest will take his territory. So he will have to be on his own, but then that means he's got to watch out for predators as well as feed and drink. So if he's got the luxury of other animals around, he can spend a bit more time either feeding or marking territory and knowing that they've got his back covered, basically. So very normal to see different species together, but they don't compete for the same food, and that is how they can actually survive together. Now, have you calmed down now, mister? Yeah, I'm talking to you. You're upsetting everybody. They are beautiful though. You might just have heard that roar then as well. Is he going to go again? Yeah, there's a few females over there. You see he's throwing his head back, and that's when he's roaring. So the alarm call is just the snorting part. You don't get the roar with an alarm call. But you can see he's displaying there. So there's a few males that walked off behind him, so I think he's trying to round. There's a few more females coming into your shot now. There you go. There was a young male who was being tolerated, which also doesn't really happen in the main rut. The young males will get pushed out, so no males will be around at all. Good to hear from you, Rosie. I'm sure my little comments will come out at some stage. But as well, I'm unfortunately famous for a few things: the dung quizzes and, I say, the little comments. Blondie is back, and I'm sure there's going to be a few blonde moments, as I'm sure everybody has had since they've been driving with Jigger and WildEarth and me. Let's see if we can go and find Pirie on that note as well. Hi Elaine, welcome on board from Massachusetts. Great to hear from you. And Elaine would like to know, would animals roll in dung to try and mask their scent from predators? And I haven't heard it's been done by herbivores to mask their scent, but possibly carnivores to mask their scent from herbivores. But then I'm still not 100% sure if that does actually happen, or whether they just like the smell. Because obviously if you've got dogs, and you might know that they like to roll in smelly things. And it could be the same thing, that they think that you find smelly things attractive, just like the wildebeest and the females, which unfortunately is not the case with humans. And some of you might know I have with little Jack Russell now since leaving WildEarth, and he likes to do that. So I'm speaking from experience. But yeah, I don't know, I'm not sure. We don't see it often enough to really say for sure if that's what they're doing it for. If it was true, then we should see predators doing it a lot more often, but you don't really see them doing it very often. So I think that's one. Maybe you'll find some evidence to support whichever theory, but I think it is just a theory at this stage. I don't think anyone's proved it. So we have crossed the quarantine area. We are heading towards Voyatella access, and we're going to head down towards the Sandy Patch and Impala Plains, and that's where the guys had the tracks of Karula. Hopefully it was Karula. They were very small, and actually I was saying to Aubrey, because we saw them this morning, and Aubrey's been kind enough to drive us around while we've been staying here with my folks, and I'd forgotten how small the female leopard tracks are. Through my research over in Leidenberg, we've actually been looking at the size of the leopard tracks, and we take the measurements, and we were hoping maybe through simple measurements we could actually ID individual animals scientifically, so we can say for sure, yes, that cat walked here, and we can gather that as scientific data. We also collect the pictures, so we put a ruler next to the spoor and we take the picture, and I think that we can actually run through a software program when it becomes available, or somebody can develop it for leopards. I know they've done it for tigers with the pug marks, so it's only a matter of time before it can be done for the leopards, and in the substrate that we have. So it's very similar to this substrate, because thick or thin sand will change the dimensions and the length and the width and everything of the spoor. Unfortunately, Dacre. And that is why it's called a Dacre. It means to dive, and it does that so well. Dives through the bush. And that behaviour right there, very typical for the bush antelope, because they're using the bush to conceal themselves. So it runs, you can't keep up with where it's gone, and then it freezes in the hope that you haven't seen where it stopped. That is a grey or common Dacre. Interesting little antelope. Most antelope are pure herbivores. They only eat grass or leaves. Grazers eat the grass, browsers eat the leaves. But this little guy eats fungus, caterpillars, and on the odd occasion, the odd little bird if there's a nest on the ground. Odd diet for an antelope. I was saying about the spoor. So here, the spoor for Karula is much smaller, and it's smaller than the cubs of the leopards where I'm doing my research. The females in that area are just about the size of a male leopard here, the spoor, the tracks. So the males that side are almost like baby lion tracks. It is incredible the size difference between the leopards there in the Leidenberg, in the mountainous area, and the leopards here. The leopards there would dwarf these guys. They would make them look very small. So a male leopard track out there, you're looking about 100, maybe 110 millimeters. So you're looking about this sort of size, whereas here they're up to maybe 18, 90, which is, say, female size. About that, much smaller. Yeah, very interesting. actually been helping us with the leopard research by buying a camera trap. So most of my research has been done collecting data through camera traps. They aren't that big, and they literally sense movement or heat, and it takes the pictures for me. And where we set it up, we actually had a camera club, so people could actually buy us a camera, and we put it out in the field, and that helped us to collect the data. And quite a few WildEarth viewers came on board with that. So there was the Clown Cam from Sharon, and Red Robin from Diane, and we also had Fancy as well, which was awesome. And I really do appreciate everybody's help with that as well, because it's actually made it possible to do the research, and hopefully next year I might be able to become a doctor. I have got the shirts, and thank you so much for everybody who sent me that shirt saying Dr. Pirie. I haven't worn it yet. I can only wear it when I have qualified, but it has meant so much to actually have the support of the viewers with the research, and to actually allow us to do that. It's amazing. But they are staying out in the fields, so the cameras were static for 3 years, so we've been able to monitor the changes in the area. And what was amazing, we actually had a female leopard give birth to an erythristic cub, and that is extremely rare. It's actually, it gets called a strawberry or a red leopard. They don't have black spots, they actually have brown spots, and their fur is much paler than that you see of a normal leopard. So nobody, because it's so rare, nobody really knows how it's passed on, but the female who gave birth was normal coloured, and the sibling is also normal coloured. So it is possible, it's what's called a recessive gene, and for an animal to produce this rare colour variation, male and female have to have this gene, and they have to come together to breed, and then they have to pass on that particular gene. If the dominant gene gets passed on, regardless of whether the recessive gets, so if the male passes on the recessive and the female passes on the dominant, it will stay a normal coloured leopard. It must be both male and female pass on that recessive gene for it to be, and it's the same with melanistic leopards, so there's too much pigment. So it's either this erythristic leopard is either doesn't have enough black pigmentation, or it's got too much red pigmentation. And again, we don't know exactly what causes it, so it's those two options. The melanistic or the black leopard, which incidentally can be called a panther. A black jaguar can be called a panther as well. I know a lot of people say, oh, the panther is something completely different. It's just a black cat. That's all a panther is. Hey, Steenbok! Another dwarf antelope. So that's possibly how it was produced by a normal colour. Now I'm just seeing if that Steenbok is around. I think that was my first stump of the drive. Yes, go me. I thought that was the Steenbok, but I think it is a stump. Yes. By the way, I'm very good at spotting stumps. Oh, awesome. Anyway, so the Steenbok incidentally is a small Labrador puppy size. It's sort of that sort of size. The Dacre, not much bigger. That's about the Dacre size. So much smaller than the Impalas that we saw earlier. Misjan, Donna and Binky. Welcome on board to you all this afternoon. I hope you're enjoying the wonders of Djuma this afternoon. Great to have you on board. And all of you asking the same question, wanting to know if I'll carry on my leopard research once I'm finished. And that is yet to be determined. I actually don't know at this stage. I am going to hopefully still be a part of Ingwe to a certain degree, because obviously we've put a lot of groundwork in with the research, and obviously Will and Carol put a lot of groundwork in previous to me joining them in 2012. So I certainly would like to still keep a hand in, but I'm still not sure what other projects or what else is available to me at this stage. So I'm going to be talking hopefully at a conference in Edinburgh, and I'm hoping to meet a few people there and see what is available and how I can maybe help Ingwe in a different way, and maybe even be like a consultant to help other projects get off the ground. I'm kind of looking into all of that sort of thing, because I don't want to miss out on the field. Absolutely love the field, being in South Africa, and I'm not quite ready to give it up completely, but I do need to be in the UK to see the family as well. So it's trying to work all of that out, but I would definitely keep everybody posted, and hopefully when I have more internet we can actually talk a little bit more. But on your screen at the moment we have the long-tailed, or magpie shrikes as they're now called, and a whole family of them. The longest tail will be from the male and shorter tails from the females, and they are cooperative breeders, so there's about 4 in the tree, but we're just seeing 2 at the moment. And you might be able to hear that liquid call, that a lot more liquid than I can make it. One of the juveniles just flew off, probably this year's or last year's clutch. It'll be chicks from last year to help bring up this year's chicks. South Carolina. Donna, I hope you're enjoying the bird calls now. Yeah, okay. I know I really do enjoy mimicking birds and animals, as the regular viewers from when I drove were aware. I think possibly some of them were better than others, I think. I think my favourite one was the go-away bird, which used to be called the grey lory. There it goes. That's probably my best one, my favourite one to do. I don't know, how accurate do you think that is? So yeah, I'll see if I can do a few more along the way, but I won't spoil you. Still looking out for some dung for a Who Dung It quiz. We've got to have one Who Dung It, at least. But we'll see. So we're actually in Sandy Patch now. Hopefully, Karula, please, maybe show yourself today. That would be amazing. But apparently she has been around, and apparently she has been mating with a new male. I don't know him, Tingana. And I think he pushes in from, is it the southwest that he pushes in from? I believe, I think. So she's been with him, I think you said you saw him 2 days ago. They were on feeding on a kill, and apparently wasn't there salalas, you said, were actually chasing them away from their food. So she may be mating, it depends on where they are through the cycle, because leopards can mate 2, 3, 4, sometimes up to 6 days. And some of you might remember I had an amazing sighting. It was, I think, maybe 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I'd heard what I thought was a lion coughing. Turned out to be Karula, and she actually walked up between the old garage and my room, up the path, and she came around the corner, and I looked out and I thought, can't see the lions, they must have moved off. looked out the window, and it was literally just moonlit on one patch, and she stepped out of the shadow, stepped into the moonlight, she lay down, and it was Yambili Jordan that was with her at the time. He covered her, she turned around, swiped at him, they both got up and walked off. I could not believe it. I was buzzing after that, I promise you. Very, very rare to see leopards mating. So I think, did you guys actually see it? The mating? Or just the fact that they've been with them?
Yeah,
Oh, you actually saw them. So you guys have been privileged to see leopards mating. And that's just one awesome thing that you get to see on WildEarth. And that is what I love about WildEarth. You just never know what you're going to see, what you're going to find. It could be around the next corner. We could bump into maybe Karula. Please. Fingers crossed. Anna Marie and Pirie, welcome on board to you this afternoon, and also hoping to see Karula. I think it would definitely be nice to say goodbye to her, but I think we were definitely privileged to see her Valentine's Day, a very fitting day in February when I came back for a couple of weeks to fill in while Mark was on leave, and that was just so special. I think Brian was actually on camera with me, and we were actually going out to the hyena den to see if any of the cubs were around, and literally as we went through Philemon's dip, but I said there's a leopard, and it was the bushes were so tall. I'd looked just before the bush and looked to the other side, and she actually was just behind the bush, so I couldn't see, and Brian obviously looked the right way and he said leopard, so we reversed back. She was busy drinking, and I laughed. All we saw was the back end. And I laughed and said, oh, wouldn't it be wonderful? It was Karula, really not believing it would be. She turned around and said, who? You say me? My name? And there she was. You could see, because Karula, for those of you who don't know, very special cat. She has been the star, I think, or one of the stars of the show for many years now. And she's got wow above her head. Her spots actually join up to say wow. And she is amazing. She deserves to have wow across her head. Successfully reared 4 sets of cubs, which, especially in the Sabi Sands, where there's a lot of leopard already, infanticide where males actually kill cubs does occur, and I think on a higher number than what we realise. She has managed to get 4 sets of cubs through to adulthood. Now obviously whatever happens afterwards, they're not under her protection. But yeah, amazing cat, absolutely amazing cat. And you'll see her feed on something small, and she has a kill, she'll go out, she'll feed, she'll go out and kill something so it's ready in line for her cubs. So she'll leave the cubs on the one kill and go out to get her next one, and she just goes. Yeah, amazing, absolutely amazing. Welcome on board. Anita wanting to know, is there an explanation why the leopards this side have smaller feet than the leopards where I'm doing my research? The leopards where I'm doing the research are definitely larger, so they will have the larger feet. It's possibly because their diet might be slightly different. Maybe they need to be slightly larger, because we have found them taking out female kudu. We've actually heard some people have seen them trying to take out waterbuck. And they fairly large antelope. Now, the impala, as we come onto impala plains, very fitting, is the optimum prey size for a leopard. So they've actually found it should be around the 23 kilo mark, and an average weight for an impala is about that, maybe a bit heavier, maybe up to 24, 25. So that is the optimum, where the leopard exerts the energy to catch it, it gets enough energy out for that capture. Now, obviously if you get something smaller like a dacre or a steenbok, they might have to exert the same energy, but they don't get as much reward. So that's where we say the optimum size. But the leopard is so special. It can actually eat things like the insects, maybe guinea fowl, the small antelope, the medium-sized antelope, which is what we're looking at now, the impala, going right up into the large antelope, like I was saying, the kudu, and, oh nice, jumping around. And the waterbuck as well. I've even heard of them taking out some, maybe not fully grown eland, but calves of eland, eland being the largest antelope in the world. So they can take out the eland. The males can reach about a ton, so you're not really going for the ton animals, but certainly, you know, the calves. So they can eat a whole variety of things, and they're actually able to do that because of the size. The females, you're looking about 45 kilos on average, males maybe about 70, 80, and as I say, where I'm doing my research, the males sometimes pushing up to 90. I think in years gone by, 100 kilos was not uncommon. So I'm just scanning the area because this is where the tracks were last seen heading through this block. Just hoping maybe the impala can give her away. Hi, Gilly in Wisconsin. Welcome on board, Gilly. And yeah, quite an interesting one there. So maybe the males are getting confused because the females are coming up for birthing, and maybe their hormones, the change in their hormones has confused them slightly. And that is a possibility, because the change in the hormones apparently does trigger the change in the testosterone levels of the males. So maybe that is a possibility, that second rut comes around because of that as well. Is, who knows? And that's one thing that you learn about nature. You think that it's all been learned and everybody knows everything, and actually a lot of these things that get told to us are only theories, and it's only until someone can prove them can we say yes for sure. So until someone comes along with another theory that makes sense, then that theory stands, and that's how it goes. And I think the more we learn, the more we realise we actually don't know. But it's definitely exciting to find out. Because in years gone by, people thought...
Mobile station,
people actually thought that impala could hold on to their young until the rains fell, and that's not strictly true. It's all based around when the rut occurs.
Yeah,
so if you have a rut that's late,
heading west again to the Torchwood. Okay, over there.
sorry, I was losing my trail of thought. It's so long since I've listened to a radio. Just listening up to the updates there. But yeah, as I say, people actually thought that they could wait until it was perfect time with the rains to drop the lambs. But if they were able to do that, if the rains were late, the lambs would develop too much and they wouldn't be able to give birth to them. So that's not strictly true that they can actually decide when they drop the lambs. If the rut was late, the lambs will be dropped later. Oh, Isabella, sorry. And welcome on board. Probably one of our youngest viewers today, age 4. And I hope you're enjoying the impala. Isabella was saying she used to get confused. She thought these were reindeer because they were running around as if they were trying to make for a position for the Santa sleigh. And they do run around a lot, and especially you guys are going to be so lucky to see when these ladies do actually drop their lambs. They're going to really, it's going to be awesome, because the babies, it actually happens at the same sort of time, and the reason for that is to make sure there's too much food so that the predators can't eat all the babies. So they'll actually exercise and run around, so it strengthens their muscles, strengthens their legs, and they will do all the kicking up in the air. It's amazing. You actually get to see their daily exercises, and it's so awesome to see. And you just see all these little babies bouncing around and running around, and that is why animals play, so that it gives them the skills, and it also builds up the muscles so that they can become stronger animals and more likely to get away from predators. Unfortunately, not much movement. I was hoping maybe someone might pick something up. You might hear that snort again, that but they're all pretty relaxed. You can see the tails flicking every so often, and that just shows that everyone is nice and relaxed. If they stop flicking the tails, then they start becoming a little bit more alert.
That's correct. Good.
Oh, we're going to sit here a little bit longer. I think Jamie's got something for you. I believe it's a mongoose. So enjoy the mongoose, and we'll be back with you soon.
We do indeed have the mongooses. And look at the one at the back in the middle sitting up. Doesn't she look rather large to you? I wonder if she isn't pregnant. Or it might just be the way that she's sitting. Ah, it disappeared into the hole now. They're being unbelievably shy this afternoon. I think it's the wind. Every now and again, another head pops up and then disappears. This is the most we've seen so far. Whoops, gone. Oh, there's another one. There's just heads popping up all over the show. And I know this family. I've driven past them many times on knobthorn clearings, and they're not nervous. They are habituated to cars, and yet because of the weather today, and I think it is the weather that's causing it, it's making them very nervous and very jumpy. I suppose if you're reliant on your senses as much as they are, makes sense, especially when you're that low to the ground. Seeing a threat isn't always that easy. Here we go. Getting braver. Having a quick grooming session. And I know I've spoken before about the grooming competitions that happen between competing mongooses. I'm still not sure. I've been guiding for years and I still don't quite know what the plural is. Mongai just sounds ridiculous. It must be mongooses.
What about mongoose?
Mongoose, I suppose. Mongoose. Makes sense. Goose, geese. I think it's mongooses though. I don't know. I think I have to ask James that. I feel like his would be the correct answer. So I think VM's got a nice one. I like mongoose. As we sit and watch our two mongoose, we're chatting a bit about the grooming competitions that happen between them. But they'll also groom each other, not just themselves, as a way of bonding and creating that social pairing. Oh, there's a third head. just seem to keep coming out of the holes. Quick scratch. The nice thing about dwarf mongoose is no matter how nervous they are, they're generally incredibly curious. And for the most part, if you sit nice and quietly and nice and still by one of their termite burrows, you will get a chance to see them. Hello, little ones. They always look so well groomed, shining in the sun like that. There's also something, I don't know what it is, I don't know whether it's because we always associate things like ferrets with being very intelligent, but there's something about their look. It's quite a piercing, serious look when they look at you. Like they're really giving you some serious consideration. And I get the impression they are very, very bright. Somehow I feel like there's a real little problem-solving brain in there, thinking about all kinds of things. Oh, another head. Just keep popping up. Hello, have we interrupted your Wednesday afternoon? It's okay, you can come out. It's actually a huge group. I've seen at least 10 when we first arrived. They're not all in this burrow, some of them scattered off in different directions. And what they'll have in a nice open area like this, oh cute, those two are so sweet. Cuddling together for security. What they will have while they're foraging in an area around their burrows is they'll have a couple of different bolt holes to run to. And I can hear some really high-pitched contact calls. Oh, there's a fourth one in there as well. I wonder if one of them hasn't become a little bit disconnected from the others. There's some really high-pitched squeaking sounds. As VM pulls away, gives you a little bit of an idea as to exactly how small these little creatures are. They are absolutely minuscule. Drongo is making a lot of noise, but the mongoose are not responding. So it can't be a contact between them. There's 4 of them left, now 3, with that little tail disappearing over the back. Outside a burrow like this for hours at a time. You know, even if I bring a book or something and just watch them and the play of dynamics that happens between them. Now, if they do have babies, and they do breed every couple of months, and of course only the alpha female and the alpha male will breed, but I'm not sure if any of the viewers have seen them, but I certainly myself have never seen dwarf mongoose babies, not little ones anyway. For the most part, they'll be tucked away in the burrows there. I believe that for modern usage, and this is coming from one of our viewers, Pamela, the plural is mongooses or mongeese. That is what's come to be. In my head, I think I always just accepted it as mongoose for both, but I suppose that doesn't really work. Almost like sheep and sheep. That's how I had it figured out in my head. Coming and going now, they're feeling a bit more secure with us. I touched on the fact that I've never seen mongoose babies and that they might be tucked away. Oh, that little one's got something on the left. know what it's after. Oh, something's being munched. Well done. Possibly something like a little moth or a tiny grasshopper. The smallest predator out here, or smallest carnivore in terms of mammals. But yes, as I said, she might be pregnant, not this one, but the one that we first saw. And I've never seen dwarf mongoose babies. They're always hidden away deep in the burrow. I think you have to get lucky and earn a little bit of trust from the parents and the rest of the group. But Blue Jay, you were wondering, if they did, how many babies would they have? And I think it's averages around 2 to 6. Not an enormous amount. The smaller the number, obviously, the higher the chance of survival rate for those. I think they're called kits. I'm just trying to think. I think they're called kits, is the official term for a baby dwarf mongoose. They definitely aren't cubs or pups. Oh, I touched on the relationship, or the fact that they remind me of ferrets, and of course they're all part of a very similar family, now known as the Herpestidae family. But Barbara, you were wondering about the connection between meerkats and mongoose, and they are essentially the same. They fill the same ecological niche, they are related to each other, but generally you'll find that mongoose tend to occupy, or at least the dwarf mongoose, the banded mongoose, and the slender mongoose, the ones we see around here, they tend to occupy the more eastern, slightly higher rainfall areas, whereas meerkats are more adapted for desert dwelling, along with the yellow mongoose, as well as the slender. The slender mongoose does cover quite a wide distribution. But generally a mongoose is more suited to desert environments. They're not water dependent at all. But they are related to each other, and all falling under one group that every member of has an anal gland that is capable of anal pasting. I'm just going to be quiet a moment, maybe we can hear the high-pitched squeaks. It's so faint. I don't think you guys will be picking it up. I can barely hear it, but they've got such a wide range of interesting contact calls, and I'd love to know what this one is saying. It's definitely not an alarm call. Just this little beep, beep. Yes, the high-pitched beeps. The high-pitched beeps, if you are hearing those, that is the mongoose. I mean, it barely sounds, it sounds like it should be made by some sort of insect, but that is what we're listening for. Ah, apparently that sound is coming through to you. So that those tiny, high-pitched beeps, that's the mongoose. I don't know what it means, I don't know what they're saying. Some kind of contact call between members. Very cute. It's fun to watch them bouncing off. They've got about an hour left of foraging time. Maybe one day, if I ever do get to spend a bit of time. Whoop, I think that's the last one disappearing off. So it disappeared into the hole, yep. Oh, one day if I ever get to spend a little bit of time around a dwarf mongoose hole, a couple of hours, maybe I'll get to treat and see the babies. But Pretty Nightmare agrees with me that they must be absolutely adorable. Oh, hello. Popped out, went in one tunnel and came out the other, I think. Oh, I'm disappearing off. Now I know that as soon as I move the car, I think that was the last one, I counted 4 in the beginning and 4 of them have disappeared off at one stage or another. They're all dashing. Oh, I'm sorry, there was a 5th one, but it's gone. It just shot off out into the bushes. They've all spread out all around, and I know that if I try and follow them in the car, we're not going to be able to catch up with them, and they certainly won't be thrilled with our presence. So we'll leave them be on this windy day, and maybe one day I'll get to see the dwarf mongoose kits, as they're sometimes known. And Michael, you were wondering why there are so many different names for baby animals. I don't know, I've never really questioned that before. I've just accepted it as a given. It's a good point, but I suppose why do we have so many different names for male and female animals? Bulls and cows, rams and ewes. Can't think of another example now. Toms and queens. Yep, for cats. There's quite a few of them. Make sure that all dwarf mongoose are away from me. Honestly, Michael, I don't know why there's so many different names. I guess so that you can refer to them without having to specify too much what animal you're talking about, maybe because it's a good way of providing an indication of evolutionary line. So cubs are cubs, so cats have cubs, big cats have cubs. No, that can't be right because bears have cubs. So I'm definitely talking myself in circles here, and I'm going to stop doing it. I don't know the answer to that question. I really don't. Bye-bye, dwarf mongoose. Now, I know that many of you will have been wondering about what's happening with that young male. Well, I've been calling them kits. Sorry, I will get back to the line in a moment, but I've been calling them kits. But apparently Patricia's letting us know that on Wikipedia the official term for a baby dwarf mongoose is a pup. So it's a baby ferret that's called, what is called a kit then? Where does that name come from? Maybe it's baby ferrets I'm thinking of. Might be expanding ever so slightly.
What is goat?
Goats are kids. I like that. Goats are good. Goose and gander. Okay, now really my brain's gone off in completely the wrong direction. I'm apologizing. It was pups, apparently. Pups, mongoose, mongooses or mongeese. And we shall leave that to rest without ever really knowing, as to Michael's question, why we need so many different names. Now I just keep thinking about things like leverets for baby hares. Okay, subject change, back to the lions. I've been looking for this young male. Now, as far as we know, but nobody actually witnessed the confrontation, but as far as we can tell, it happened on Arethusa. So somewhere between where I picked up on their tracks this morning on Zebra Road and Red Dam, where they were last night, that confrontation would have happened. I imagine it happened closer towards Arethusa Dam, and then the rest of the pride fled off to the northwest of us to go and investigate Elephant Plains. I paid a quick visit to Red Dam just because I thought that maybe the male might have run in that direction back the way they'd come, because he felt like that was a safe option, and maybe might also have been looking for water, but I haven't seen any sign of him. There've been no tracks, nothing. Maybe he is just separated and making his way a little bit behind the others. I still want to go and double check around Arethusa Dam though. I think now that with the Birminghams out of the way, all the way in Torchwood somehow, there's a chance he might be going towards more familiar areas. And of course, when we first saw them, they were right around the Arathusa Dam. Now, this is a really, really common offshoot of a pride takeover. And sub-adults are usually under threat. They're right at the cusp of being at risk of infanticide. If they're females, as we saw with the Nkuhuma sub-adults, they're still at risk, but they're at less of a risk than sub-adult males. And generally or quite often that's the reason behind a pride split. So mothers have sub-adult cubs with them, especially young males, then they move away from the rest of the pride to try and accompany those sub-adults and keep them safe until they're big enough to gain independence. And it's interesting to draw the parallels between the Saladas and the Nkuhumas. It's something that we spoke about a lot. The fact that the Nkuhuma lioness was killed as well as the one sub-adult female. And we suggested that it was the lioness had been killed due to the fact, or they were putting up as much resistance as they did due to the fact that they were trying to protect those sub-adult females. And the Saladas have done something very similar, except they've been in an even more unfortunate situation, caught between the Matimbas that they're running away from and now straight into the territory of the Birmingham boys. And it's not easy for them. It's not like they intended to come running into Birmingham boy territory. It's just that there's not that many power vacuums out here. So to find a nice safe place isn't always all that easy. But we do seem to have come full circle with this whole thing. Still a very interesting way that this situation has played out. And I imagine that if we do continue to see the Saladas as we have been, it will be on an intermittent basis. And they'll probably keep moving for another year or so to try and keep those males safe. If we compare and we contrast the Nkuhumas and the Saladas, Junior's got that extra year on them. He's bigger, he can fight, he wouldn't be able to take on all 5 Birminghams, but he could fight back and run. He would have a much better chance than those 3 young males, particularly because they were already injured. You can't help but feel for them that they had to try and flee from one serious threat posed by the Matimbas, and unfortunately wound up running straight into the next one. I'm going to make my way towards the dam, and while I do that, let's head back across and see what Tara is up to, and I will be back with you a little bit later. Welcome back, everybody. Apparently had a really nice mongoose sighting. We've left the Impala Plains and we headed down towards Chelapan, which for a few moments the name deserted me, but then I had a spark of inspiration. And we just found this red-billed hornbill. Having a look around. We did have some roller for you, but they decided to fly off. But luckily the hornbill stuck around. Some of you might remember Patrick. He used to call these guys the flying chilies, and the yellow-billed hornbills the flying bananas. So, in honour of Patrick. Now, the scientific names for these guys, believe it or not, has to do with how they call. So you have the head-down cluckers and the head-up whistlers, and I kid you not, that is the categories that these particular type of hornbills fit into. So this is a head-down clucker because they do put the head down, and they go go back, go back, go back, go back, go back, go back, go back. Yeah, no, that's not one of my best ones, I know.
That was good.
And the grey hornbills are part of the head-up whistlers, so they actually throw the heads back, and I can't actually do that whistle unfortunately, but it is like an admiral's whistle.
So we might be lucky to see a grey hornbill, roughly about the same size. These are quite small. They're not closely related to the ground hornbills, which are the big ones that look like turkeys with overgrown eyelashes. But nevertheless, they will eat anything that they find. And I think he's looking for insects through the grass there. They will go for insects, they'll go for fruit. I've even seen, when it was extremely hot, plus 40 degrees, there was bats that were very lethargic that day, and one of the hornbills, it was actually a yellow-billed hornbill, found the bat that was, it tried to get underneath a log or something. He found it and he actually took it out and ate it. I've never seen them do that before. I never thought that they would eat bats, and this poor bat, before I realised what was going on, and it was halfway down the hornbill's throat. But absolutely amazing. So they will literally eat anything and everything they can get their bill into. And I do have a whodunit for you, a nice easy one to start with. There we go. So just to give you a bit of a size comparison, there's my hand. So if you want to play along, you can send your answers into, let me put it more in the shade so at least it's all one colour for you. So if you want to play along and tell us who dung it, who made this dung, all you need to do is send it through to #SafariLive or questions@wildearth.tv. Put in the subject line what your answer is, and we'll see who is the first off the mark and see how everybody has been keeping up the Who Dung It quiz. I've been hearing that Jamie and Brent have been keeping it up, so I'm well chuffed. So see how well you guys are doing. You don't know where I've picked it up from, so this is cold off the well, it's actually from quite far back from the Impala Plains. Hi Carla, and just for you, this is the Who Dung It quiz. And unfortunately I wasn't the one that noticed the wow on Karula's forehead, but I am the one that, along with a few viewers, I forget now, there was actually some of the viewers who came up with the catch name Who Dung It, and last time we even had Who Sung It, so we'll see if we can find a bird that will sing nicely for you. And unfortunately my impressions, as much as I enjoy doing them, I don't think they do the birds justice. But we'll see who comes back first. So you can see, as I say, next to my hand here, you can see the very large fragments in there. We've got a bit of bark in there. This nice reddy colour, that should also show you they eat a lot of bark. So it has the tannins in there, that's what it makes it a red colour. And almost barrel shaped, so that might help to give it away. When there's a lot of fruits available, then you might even find marula fruits in there. And actually this red-billed hornbill, if I take that off, get rid of all the bits of the debris, but he's actually sitting in the tree, and these guys will root through the dung looking for leftover marula fruits. There he goes. And actually our rollers come back to the left on the dead tree. Yeah, just you might just be able to work out the colours. Apparently there's about 12 different colours on a lilac-breasted roller. And again, such a beautiful bird, and what comes out their mouth doesn't really match the beauty of that bird. It's quite harsh. But the reason why they are called a roller is they actually do a display the way they roll in the sky. And I have been hearing them call, so I'm wondering if he would do it today, but it looks like he's getting camera shy. So maybe not today. So I thought we would head on through to Buffles Hook Dam and see if there was anything happening around there, and then maybe head back towards Impala Plains a little bit later, just to see. I'm going to leave my dung there. Christy, Mary, Richard, Jan. Oh, fantastic. Good to hear. You're all getting it right. It is elephant duck. Well done, guys. Great to hear you still have your eye on your duck. Brilliant. Let me see. Just heard. It might have been a little bit too far. There's a few birds calling actually. That could be your who sung it. Do do do. Do do do. Are you hearing them? It's a little bit. No. Let's see if I can get one that's a little bit closer. Thanks, Anna Marie. Trouble is, you haven't heard the bird calls and what they should sound like. But Anna Marie thinks I'm an expert bird caller. So I'll just not show you those birds that I've been intimidating. Yes, maybe I have. Maybe that's why the roller disappeared. But yes. Let's see if I can find a bird that's going to sing closer to the mic for us. Favourite mud wallows around here. That's got a lot deeper. That is still a favourite one, I believe, just judging by how deep that one is. That started life out as a little puddle. And then as the rain falls, that little puddle gets used by warthogs and sometimes maybe even the hyena when it's really hot. And as that puddle grows, then the rhinos and buffalo then go, ooh, actually, that looks like a good place to cool off. And then they'll roll in it and make it bigger, and then of course the elephants also then join in the fun. So I think we're going to take Vulture's Nest, going through Spaghetti Junction. Now this all changed after the cyclone hit in 2012. It was actually in January. This was completely different. They're absolutely amazing to come and see it after the water came rushing through here. And even down by Twin Dams it changed. It was Twin Dams, a lot of grass, and now I think it probably will still be like that, but there was a lot of sand. It almost looked like a beach. Absolutely amazing. I did hear some birds in here. I'm hoping I'm a little bit closer, so if they do call, we'll hear them. They're going quiet. Welcome on board. Wow, my very bad impression gave it away. It was a Cape Turtle Dove. Well done, David. I will see if I can find another bird for everybody to join in. Yeah, the Cape Turtle Dove says, work harder during the weekday. Now this little bird was the one that was calling earlier that I was trying to see if we could get a bit closer. Let me move out of the way. Absolutely pretty birds, but you can see very well camouflaged because they spend time on the ground. It is a crested francolin. Just about make out his eye there. Quite often you get the stripes and the spots to try and break up the outline of a bird or an animal, and you can see how well that works. You can barely see it now. So crested francolin. Females have a brown cap and males have a black cap. There, thanks Alan, in Arkansas. As I'm sure a lot of you are aware, I struggle to pronounce that one. But I've got it now, it's all good, in Arkansas. Welcome on board there, and I hope you are well, Ellen. Ellen wants to know what's the thing I miss the most about the drives, and what's the thing I've enjoyed the most about the research. That is an interesting question, a difficult one to answer. I've missed all of this. You know, the fact that wherever you are in the world, you can watch a live game drive from South Africa. What have I just missed? Oh, I was looking at the francolin on the ground. And that's exactly my point. You just don't know what you're going to see. And I have always thought this was just so special. It was such a wonderful concept. And the fact that we can share these wonders of South Africa with you back home, wherever you are, in Arkansas, whether you're in Australia, whether you're in Argentina, it doesn't matter where you are, you can actually join us. And that is so special. And the fact that we've had people from years gone by still with us, still watching, still enjoying, and the fact that we can actually interact with you and you can interact with us, it's all of that. Yeah, that is what I do miss. That the research has been really exciting for me, obviously new challenges as well, and learning about a new population of leopards. While we were off air, we were actually talking about the Cape leopard as well. Again, the Cape leopard is much smaller than even the leopards here in the Sabi Sands, so they're about half the size again. So studying leopards that have never been studied before, and hopefully giving more information or adding the information to what is already known, and hopefully changing perceptions of how many leopards there are and what leopards do, that for me is a real thrill. So yeah, quite a difficult one, but as I say, hopefully the leaving or sort of leaving WildEarth and carrying on to do the research, I'm almost getting the best of both worlds. And the fact I can actually come back and share this with you again, oh, I'm just so chuffed. See, huge grin. And I hope you're enjoying it as well. And apparently there's some Ellies with Jamie. So you can go and hopefully see some wonderful Ellie interactions down at the dam, and we'll see you in a bit. Bye for now.
Hello elephants. That was a quick drink. We appear to have found ourselves in a very good spot to spend a little bit of time with an elephant herd as the sun starts to descend. Lots of little babies, a couple of big females. She's definitely the largest in the middle of that group. All coming down. Interesting that they stopped where they did. They were about to start drinking, and then moved right in front of us to drink. Hello, beautiful. Bit of a tussle going on there. Two young boys. This is a purely playful, I'm bigger than you are. And the one on the right is just a couple of months, maybe a year older than the one on the left, both young males, playing and learning while they do that. Oh no, the draw of the water. It's a little bit more exciting. All the babies, little babies, right in the middle of that group. Tiny little one. You'll see a lot of them do it as they go along, using their trunks to get to the best part of the water, move away all that waterweed and some of the build up on top of the water before they dip their trunks in and get a good drink. Hello, boy. Young male just walked across in front of us. He's pretty much on the outskirts of this herd. He's at the point where he's probably leaving home very soon, or leaving his herd. Same as that male that we saw earlier. Beautiful. Here we go, trying to get rid of that frustrating water weed so that they can have a proper drink. Actually hear that sound as she was sucking the water out of her trunk. It sounded a bit like when you finish the drink that you're drinking with a straw and it's empty. There's nothing more peaceful than a scene like this, with a happy, comfortable elephant herd coming to drink. It looks like those two young boys are at it again, but with the younger one trying to get involved. No. It's over for now. What's that little one doing? Just kicking the dirt, I think. one of the last big females to walk behind and tell that young male that it's time for him to keep moving. It's not time for games. Such a beautifully peaceful scene. And then moving off to the edges. How special are moments like that? You get to spend time with these incredibly impressive animals, to come down, have a quiet drink. It's one of my favorite things, and some of my best memories of spending time in the bush have been around this time of day with elephants, coming down to rivers to feed or to drink, and dams to drink. There's just something so peaceful about it. It's that perfect time of evening, the wind is all dropped. Sure, I don't think he's decided, he's not quite finished drinking, I think. He wasn't ready to move, so he's come back for more. You go testing with the tip of the trunk, finding the best drinking spot. You go shifting it around a little bit to get to the cleaner water underneath. See the water dripping down out of his mouth. Not the tidiest of drinkers, but gets the job done. At his age, his trunk probably holds about 5 liters of water at a time. That's the equivalent of my entire water bottle that itchy ankle. My entire big water bottle that I'm carrying. It's the equivalent of me downing that in one go. Hey boy, the family's moving on. Better go catch up with him. He doesn't look too concerned. He's going to amble slowly over, just like a teenager, walking behind the rest of his family. Now imagine if you're an elephant, this drop in temperature might be a nice change, actually, after the heat of the last few weeks. Beautiful. I'm going to try and stay with our elephant herd. I'm just letting them move slowly through, since this has been such a peaceful scene. Laura, you were wondering whether or not these elephants feel comfortable with us, and possibly even safer with us sitting behind them at their back, rather than having empty space where a threat could approach. And Laura's watching all the way from Pennsylvania, and she thinks that in some way the elephants have bonded with us in terms of listening to our voice, or maybe getting used to our vehicle. And I'm not too sure. I don't think they know us individually. I certainly think they know the sounds of vehicles, and I think they could get to know individuals of us if we spent a lot of time with them, but we never know exactly which elephant herd we're spending time with. I did notice when we had those couple of weeks where we spent ages with maybe one or two elephant herds, we could identify them easily. The one had the backwards tusk, the one then had a very, very young calf with it. And I do think they got to know us and feel quite comfortable with us. Whether or not they know us individually or prefer to have us behind them, I don't think they mind that much. I don't think they care either way. We're part of just their whole life. For most of these elephants has been raised with vehicles around them all the time. You know, the last 40 or so years. And if they are Kruger elephants, which they could well be, if they've come in from Kruger, they will definitely have spent their whole lives with cars coming to and from. It's just part of that's all they know, that they don't know any different. And they're very, very used to that whole process. There was a little bird, but the little bird has vanished. I wanted to show it to you. I'm looking for it, but it has disappeared. They've moved further back. It's a little pied wagtail, but I'll find it for you as we go and try and stay with those elephants. They've disappeared off already. Can you believe it? About, I don't know, maybe 60 tons of animal combined just disappeared in the space of 5 minutes. It's like they were never here, apart from the traps and a couple of mud splashes. There's absolutely nothing. Oh, a couple of hippos there. I love this dam. Such a wonderful place to come and spend time. Oh, it's getting a little chilly. There was one hippo who was standing up in the water but has decided to settle back down again. And I know that there is a very, very tiny baby somewhere around here. I haven't seen it though, I'm keeping my eyes peeled. Here we go, little hippo standing up. Quite a young hippo. Probably only just over a year. Now, Mrs. Puthoff's 4th grade class is watching once again this afternoon and discussing a bit about hippos. And James, you want to know how long do hippos live? They can live quite a long time, James. Somewhere in the region of up to 40 years. They are long-lived animals. The same sort of age range as something like a rhino. Again, we talked about it with the lions as well when we spoke about lions 2 days ago, I think it was, and we spoke about how the males and the females have different life expectancies. And I imagine it probably is the same for hippos. I think once the bulls start getting a little bit older and they get pushed out towards the outskirts of the pod or the herd that they're in, and they get pushed out, they have to go off and find different water sources. They start to get old, they get injured in fights. They probably have a slightly shorter life expectancy than a female. I don't see our young calf, but I do want to go and try and find those elephants quickly, just before they disappear off into the drainage line. But this has been such a special time spent at the dam. I also want to find you that wagtail while I can. A little bit about the life expectancy of a hippo, but Noah, who's also in Mrs. Puthoff's class and talking about hippos, Noah wants to know if they have any natural enemies. And the answer is yes, they do, although it's quite unusual for anything to really get past them. Especially the biggest risk time is when they're young, when they are babies, because that is when they are at their most defenseless and they're entirely reliant on their mother. But even then, even something like a crocodile would struggle to get hold of a baby hippo because mom would be so defensive. Sometimes the males, especially when it's a drought season and the pressure starts to really increase, probably most hippo deaths are caused by other hippos. and the males start to get aggressive. They either take their aggression out on each other, or sometimes, quite inexplicably in cases, they actually kill the calves that are in the dam with them. But that's quite a high pressure, unusual situation when there's not much water around them. I'm trying to think if there's any other. Lions can kill hippos. It's unusual, but it does happen, especially if it's an injured hippo that's been in a fight and is slightly weakened. And a hyena can also plague hippos if they're injured and eventually kill them. So there are records of them being killed by the bigger predators. Something like a leopard would have absolutely no chance. They're very big and they can defend themselves incredibly well. Now, Noah, I'm sure that you've seen that yawn that hippos do, where they open their mouths wide and you can see the tusks coming out, protruding out of the bottom of their jaws, and the bottom ones stick out almost like spears, forward facing, and the top ones slice downwards. And those make for absolutely formidable weapons when they're needed. Hear a ghost bird calling. See if we can try and catch up with those elephants. There we go. As we slowly make our way to these eddies, nice and gently so we don't disrupt them in any way. This female is very close to us, so I don't want to give her a fright. No big deal. I'm just going to finish off some questions for Mrs. Puthoff's class, who's chatting about hippos. Serena, while we watch this elephant munch away on one of her favorite foods, you were wondering if hippos have a favorite food. And yes, they will do. Now, I'm sure that you know that hippos only eat grass, and they come out at night and they graze a lot, and they can move very, very far from where they start off in the night. But certain types of grass have more nutrition that's better for them than others, and probably taste better as well. And they will go off to certain grazing grounds where they know that they can find those types of grass. Something like a type of grass called a buffalo grass, or maybe some red grass or bushveld signal grass. So all different types of grass that taste nice to the hippos and also give them the vitamins that they need. We're watching now as the elephant snacks on a bush. I can't actually honestly tell you which one it is. It's right in the middle of a spike-thorn grove. There's a couple of what looks like sour plum trees in there as well. I'm not sure what she's enjoying. She's definitely having a good munch. Sometimes I think it must be easier for elephants to maintain their weight compared to hippos. Hippos can only eat grass. Elephants can eat trees and grass. But of course then an elephant is that much heavier than a hippo. She's really enjoying whatever it is she's munching on. Of course, it's useful to remember, I'm sure some of you watching, especially Mrs. Puthoff's class, about the fact that things like elephants and hippos can get so big on just eating plants. And it makes sense because the thing that we see the most around here are plants. It had to be something. They had to be able to get nutrition from something that they can find almost all the time, wherever they go, so that they can eat constantly and maintain that body weight that they have. I'm not sure if you heard that hardy-dar ibis flying away and calling. And somebody once told me years ago, when I was quite young, that they make that sound because they're scared of heights. So when they fly, they get really, really frightened and shout in fear. Obviously not really the case, but it's something that stuck with me. You can see the whiskers on the bottom of her chin there, or the bottom of her lip, really. And of course, elephants, like all mammals, have hair, but they're bristled around the important parts like the lip, and that gives them a little bit of extra sensory perception, because as you can imagine, they can't see that lip, and it's useful when they have to bring their mouth in to go and bite something like a branch. It helps to guide them in. You're ripping away those twigs with little to no effort. And while we're sitting with this magical elephant cow, and we have so many wonderful experiences that we get to share with our viewers, and every day is so different. I've got a message from Rocky Knight, who has been watching for the last 6 weeks and says that they are now addicted to our live drives and watching all the way from the Netherlands, and passed on a big thank you to Tara, to Brent, James and Scott and myself. Well, it's an absolute pleasure. I'm sure I can speak for all of us when I say that there is nothing that we enjoy about the bush more than being able to share it with people. There's something special about that in its own way. These things are just too incredible and awe-inspiring to keep to ourselves. Using a bit of tusk force there to break a particularly tricky branch. Such an incredible amount of dexterity being shown. Now, I haven't seen any sign of this young male lion, and I want to spend a little bit more time with these elephants before we lose them to the dark. I don't think we're going to be able to find that young male lion tonight. Honestly, if he is running around, he's probably running scared, he's hiding away in thick vegetation, and I don't want to go and create any further disruption. I just wanted to check the areas that he was in beforehand to see if we could see any sign of him. But I promise you that we'll keep you updated on that. I think actually that these elephants are going to disappear into the thick drainage line, and I know that Tara has just arrived at one of her favorite places, so let's head across to her and I'll catch up with you a little bit later. Welcome back everybody, and it sounds like you had a fantastic sighting with elephants. I'm hoping my mum actually managed to get to see them. that is one of her favourite animals. Every time I was on air and they were there, she was never on board, and whenever they were, I'd get a burst tyre or something. But we're here at Buffelshoek Dam, and we're just panning down now, and I was hoping maybe the Birmingham males would have come to drink here, because we were lucky enough to actually catch up with them this morning. There was 4 males. Apparently they'd finished eating a buffalo just to the east that way. They were actually feeding on a buffalo yesterday, I believe. Bellies right out here. Unfortunately, they weren't moving too much in the morning, but after a cat's eaten, there's a lot of salt
that they need to get rid of and help to rehydrate them again so that they need to go and drink. So I was hoping maybe this dam was close to where they were, and I was just asking one of the guides and he said no, there's actually a water source close by. But who knows, they might change their mind. Apparently it has happened. I think we were just discussing actually that there was it the Salalas that it's the Unkahumas. Apparently the Unkahumas had eaten, and there was actually a water source fairly close by, but they decided to go to a water source that was about 1.5 km away rather. So whatever made them decide to go there, who knows. So I was hoping, but it looks, apart from a heron, there was a couple of woolly storks just off in the distance, but I think they flew off. But if we can head down to the heron down there, he was still around, absolutely beautiful. And obviously with the sun starting to set, it's getting cooler and the francolin are starting to cool. And that is an adult grey heron. You may recognise it from Europe. There's quite a few grey herons there, but these are resident here. They don't migrate up to Europe, but they are the same species, the grey heron. Quite interesting with the herons, you know, they've got that long bill, and that's used for stabbing the fish. That's why he's waiting in the shallows, waiting to see if there's any fish that will happen his way. And you might even see them wading right out, sort of almost covering the whole bird, and they will actually be able to fish there as well. There you go, as well. But that beak does get full of the juices from the fish, the scales and everything, so they don't have any way, any hands to help wipe the beak clean. So instead what they do, they wipe the beak onto the feathers, and then they have a comb on their toe, and that can actually groom through the feathers and take out all of that excess, the scales and the slime and things like that, and that helps to clean them. So that's how they clean their bill. And you can see preening there. Preening is very important in birds because they have to keep their feathers in tip-top condition to make sure that they can fly. If anything's out of order, they have problems. And most birds will actually have a gland right at the base by their tail, and that will produce an oil. It's called preen oil. It's the preen gland that produces that oil. And they'll take a bit of that oil and actually wipe it over their feathers to help keep them watertight and waterproof. And you'll see birds actually going through that routine to groom quite a few hours during the day. And there's actually an Egyptian goose just to the right of the heron. Again, another species that's found across Europe as well. Also preening. Apparently it gets the name the Egyptian goose because it was supposed to be the goose that was on the hieroglyphs for the Egyptians. Apparently it meant sun. How true that is, I'm not entirely sure, but it's a good story. That does look stunning, hey? With the reflection in the water. Usually quite good at picking up if there's any animals or any threats around, and they do honk and whistle. They're very quiet, which is unusual for an Egyptian goose. They've always got something to talk about. Hi Mike, great to hear from you. And definitely another part of the job I miss is seeing stumps. But I will try and keep a lookout for a kingfisher for you. This would be a good area to look for kingfishers, especially the pied. There used to be a pair that would be here, and actually if we can go just up to the right of the Egyptian goose, you might see one of the old holes that the pied kingfishers used to use. There we go. We do have 10 species of kingfisher that live in South Africa, but only 4 of them will actually fish on a regular basis, and the pied kingfisher is one of those. But another common one we may get a chance to see is a brown-hooded kingfisher, and that will tend to be more in the bush. Nice. Wow, I'm impressed with you keeping up with these animals at speed. It's amazing. Very, very cool. So we'll see, we'll keep a look out for a brown-hooded kingfisher. I'm just going to poke our nose in just over the bank here, where the water has decreased somewhat, but you never know, there might be a leopard lying up there. And then we'll carry on back to the Impala Plains. With it getting cooler, Karula might be on the move again. Hi, Heather in the UK, wanting to know how tall the heron is and what the wingspan is. How tall? Oh, just trying to think of what we can liken it to. I think on an average human, it would probably come up to, would I class as an average human? I'm quite small actually. Maybe come up to your chest. So it's a very tall bird, long neck as well. The wingspan is incredibly... Oh, there's one flying! Just above it. There we go. They actually do look like pterodactyls. Beautiful. There you go. You can see the wingspan is actually, it looks longer than the head and the body put together. And that's including the legs as well. So an incredibly wide wingspan. I'm just trying to think, maybe as wide as Jigger? Would that be about, or do you think it's maybe a little bit wider? I don't know, maybe someone can Google it for the exact measurements. If someone can Google it for us and send your answer into questions@wildearth.tv or #SafariLive. Just see if we can't get actual measurements for Heather in UK. And how am I on the left hand side there? Am I okay? But yeah, unfortunately no one lying up under the branches here in the bushes. This all had water in last time I was here. Okay, well we'll go through to the other side. You never know, just a different perspective. We might see something. Welcome on board this afternoon. Just having a quick scan along as we leave Buffelshoek Dam, just to see if we haven't missed anybody lying in the bushes waiting for it to become a bit cooler. But welcome on board, and Miss Jim wants to know what the scariest thing that's happened on drive has been, and what the funniest thing that's happened on drive has been. The scariest, I've been thinking about all these things. I thought some of you might ask these questions. And it's funny, different people that I speak to remind me of different scenarios. So I think definitely been privileged to have had so many sightings to have that problem with that I can't choose one single one. But one of the scenarios, we actually drove past it today, and it was actually seeing the tree again. I think one of the scariest things, and it was one of my very first drives when we used to do the night drives, and we'd seen Karula eating on an impala. Everyone had left the sighting. We ended up going out and sort of being the last ones there, because we had the night camera at that stage. It was pitch black, we couldn't see anything in front of us, but we were using the infrared to see what Karula was doing, and she decided she was going to take the impala up into the tree. It was a tree on top of a termite mound, and the trunk was about, I'd say 3.5–4 meters straight up. So she decides, there's a little bush next to the trunk, and she decides no, she's going to pull it up the tree. And this is why leopards are just amazing cats. They are able to pull their body weight plus vertical up a tree. So I had no fear she'd be able to do this, and she'd been feeding on it. So she takes a step out, she goes up onto the small bush, and she takes a step out. She's about 1 meter, maybe 1.5 meters above the termite mound. And sorry, I just turned that off. So yeah, so she puts her foot out to grab hold of the trunk. She slips. She comes crashing down with the impala. I must admit, and Herman was the cameraman at the time, he said that I went white. And I honestly thought Karula had killed herself, and I'm thinking, this is one of my very first drives. How do I tell the viewers the star of the show has just killed herself? That was probably the scariest in that regard. I thought, how on earth am I going to do this? And the relief when she got up, I promise you, those few seconds I've never felt longer in my life. So that was possibly one of the funniest as well, because I was laughing the fact that I'd reacted like that. But yeah, funny is, there have been moments where we have laughed out loud from what some of the animals have done. I'm just struggling to remember some of them. But I'm sure some of you remember the close encounter of the Eddie kind that we had, which was incredible. And it was a bull. We'd been watching him for about 40 minutes, didn't show any sign of aggression, didn't show he was unhappy, and he started walking towards us, and I thought, you know what, he's going to carry on by, and he stopped there, like literally, I can show you, I'm sure some of you have watched that, but he literally stopped that far away here. I thought, oh, he's not going to walk on by at all, is he? He stopped here. And even at that point, I actually felt he was just inquisitive of what was going on. He then put his tusk on the bull bar and just bounced it. And something just said to me, don't shout, don't bang on the side, don't move. Just talk to him. So I was saying, hey, no. And he was like, okay, cool, I'm not going to intimidate you. I see what the whole thing is now. And he backed off, walked right next to me again, and I watched the video clip and I saw his tusk was about that close to my head. And I didn't feel threatened by him at all. He was literally inquisitive. And he literally lifted up his trunk, blew a bit of hot air, walked off around the back of us. I think Andrew was on the camera at the time, and he moved slightly, and that's when we got the head shake, and then he carried on. I think that was possibly one of the most incredible sightings. A little bit scary, I thought maybe I've read it wrong, but that whole encounter. I never felt any aggression. We'd been following him, and I saw the same individual about 3 times after that, and still carried on walking past us. We were able to drive around him. There was no aggression there at all. But yeah, absolutely incredible, and that's just one of the few things that I've actually been able to experience with you all, which there's just too many memories, and I'm just so glad we've been able to share those. Some of you, I'm sure, remember Karula with Yambili Ordan and the 2 cubs, Shavinzi and Shivambalana. And Karula actually left Yambili Ordan to babysit. We were left with the father of the cubs, while Karula went off chasing after a Dacre, and the cubs just went, Mum, who are we following? And Yambili Ordan walked off, and the cubs followed. Absolutely amazing. So we are on Buckles Hook Cut Line. I believe maybe the signal might go. Oh, roller just flew off there. I thought it might have been the brown-hooded kingfisher. So I'm just going to keep quiet as we go through the dip, and hopefully out through the other side, and we'll take Mvubu Road down towards the dam and see if we can head towards Impala Plains. Just do another loop, you never know. Karula might just pop her head out of that block where we believe her tracks actually went in this morning. Remembers that elephant sighting. I think quite a number of you might do. I think a few of you did email saying that you were hiding behind the couch waiting to see what was going to happen, but were too scared to see what the end result might have been. And good afternoon to you, Ollie, back in the UK. Ollie wanting to know how I became a guide in the first place, because it's quite a different life out here in South Africa compared to the UK, which is where I'm originally from. Been out here for 10 years, and I did actually come out here to be a guide. I saw the Bush Academy were doing field guide courses, and I thought, perfect, I want to go and live in Africa. This was a way to get into that industry and get into the country to experience the wild, and that was something I've always thought. I don't want to just visit it, I want to live it. And that was, for me, it was a year, and I thought I was going home. My parents knew otherwise, and they told me a few years afterwards, they said, no, we knew you were never going to go and come back. Once you got on that plane, we knew you were going to stay there. And I thought, well, you could have told me, because I was just under the impression I was going to be there for the year course, and then I would be done. But I fell in love with guiding, with South Africa. And I forgot to go home. That was the whole thing. I just forgot to go home. So it's catching up with me now, but I was a guide for three and a half years, and then I was doing the presenting for just under 2 years, and the rest of it's been the research with Ingwe Leopard Research down at Leidenburg. And each place has been different, each place has had wonderful experiences, or I've had wonderful experiences. And that is the magic of the bush. Wherever you are in South Africa, that is the magic of the bush. Everywhere is different for different reasons. But different wonders, and that is why it's just wonderful to be out here driving around Juma Game Reserve within the Sabi Sands and experiencing this with you. And I hope you're enjoying it back home. Enjoying the stories, and I believe Jamie's actually found some more elephants, so we're going to cut to Jamie and hopefully you'll enjoy the elephants again. Bye for now.
It seems to me that today you can't even escape the elephants. They just are all around us. We're sitting at the moment on Arathusa airstrip. As you can see, the wind is still blowing us away a little bit, but this is such a peaceful sunset scene we've got to experience. This cow in front of me is probably one of the biggest ones I've seen out here. She's really quite a serious cow. She'll be easily over 40 years old. It seems like everywhere I look, off to the left, off to the right, there's ellies emerging from everywhere. It's such a special way to spend an evening. Hello, girl. Itch behind her ear. You see her scratching. She can't quite get the spot. Oh, there we go. She had a piece of sand behind her ear. And they're all slowly coming around this side. A couple of the babies all being escorted by the adult. Well, we were watching earlier, one of the young bulls was eating a... Hello, Mom. What's up? She stopped to watch the advance of that young male. Gentle. Oh! That could have been more gentle. Tusk to the bottom. You'll probably find that that's an older brother of that young calf. The way that that whole interaction played out. Baby's wanting a little bit of a drink. Here we go. Almost. Yep. Mum stopped to let it suckle. I think if I reposition now, it'll give her a fright. But we've got them so nice and out and in the open, we don't need to. That was a quick drink. Just a quick... There we go. Grab a quick couple of sips as Mom carries on. And right behind, bringing up the rear, waiting for all the members of her family to go ahead of her, is a female that I would say is almost certainly the matriarch. She's definitely the oldest elephant and the biggest elephant here. Waiting for one last straggling male, staying between us and the rest. With that pinnacle of wisdom and protectiveness for her family. And every single elephant in this herd will be related to her in some way. They'll either be her daughters or her grandchildren, maybe even a younger sibling, a younger sister. It's quite a special thing when you think about it. Baby's having another quick drink. Again, broken off because Mom wants to keep pace with the herd. Hear the crunch of their feet in the sand. There's no other sound like that. Also one of the bigger females in this group, but still younger than that large matriarch. Straggling behind. Must be a wonderful thing growing up a female elephant calf, and knowing that you will always have the sanctuary and protection of the rest of your family. Quite a meaningful time. I love spending time with elephants out in the open like this, especially in this, just at that right as the sun is going down. I'm going to shift a little bit further forward so we can watch them disappear off into the bush, and then I will leave them be. A beautiful evening sky. Nippy though. It's definitely cold. Saying earlier that when we first got here there was a young male who'd just taken a mouthful of grass and was busy chewing it, and another young male about the same age walked up and just tried to stick his trunk in the first male's mouth and take the food out of his mouth. He just decided, like kids do, that because the other elephant had it, he wanted it. Baby's having a scratch behind its ear on mom. In fact, I don't even think that might not be mom. I think that might even be grandmother. Like the sounds of elephants feeding in a very contented manner. And they really have got to the point in the season where they are pretty much 50-50, maybe a little bit more tree, but they're enjoying the fresh green grass shoots as well. There's two young males off in the front of me, but I'll get to them in a moment. Seen some young little ones, and you watch them how they imitate their mothers, the way they twist them around the branches. And Joe, you're wondering at what age they learn to use their trunk. It takes them a good couple of months. When you see them at that really, really small age, they're incredibly clumsy. They're still trying to imitate, just like young toddlers do in human beings. Ooh, just want a very strong whiff of elephant. They try and wrap it around, but they don't succeed very well. And it's only really at about 6 months that around the time when they start to supplement their milk diet with a little bit of solid food as well in there, that they really get the hang of actually being able to yank and pull leaves away with their trunks. And even then you see young ones, 1 or 2 years old, that are still not quite the same level of proficiency as their mothers are. It takes them, much like with young children, it takes children a couple of years, even once they start walking and running, to really get the hang of the fine motor coordination, the hand-eye coordination. If you watch young children learning to throw and to catch a ball, it's kind of a very similar thing with elephants. It's something that they have to learn through practice. I think we're going to lose them very soon. I'm trying to get that little baby at the back there, using its trunk. Not too badly coordinated. Hey mister, I'm trying to talk about the baby. Oh. Ferried along the back of the group. For that little baby elephant, it's got a good couple of years of security with the herd before reaching the teenage period and then reaching sexual maturity. And Dee, who's watching all the way in Indiana, you were wondering what age elephants start to mate. They are, both the males and the females are ready to mate at around 15 years old. That being said, there have been cases of females mating as early as 12 years old. And it's actually a process that for the first time for the female can be quite traumatic because they're tiny still at 12 years old. And generally the males that mate with them are the full-grown over 40-year-old or over 30-year-old males. So a good 5-6 tons of elephant. It can be quite an experience for them, and that's part of the reason why elephant mating is so incredibly short, because their hips just cannot bear the weight of a 5-ton elephant mounting them. For the males, although they're ready to mate at that young age and they go through those peaks of testosterone at around, they start going through them at around 15, the must cycles, they're not really going to get an opportunity until they're much older and able to compete with the bulls over about 30 years old. Every now and again they might get a sneaky mating session in, but generally cows in estrus attract the big bulls and they come and they follow them. And because the courtship lasts for so long, they plan it in that kind of way. It depends a little bit on males versus females and what opportunities that particular elephant is exposed to. I think we might be losing our elephants to the low light. And I'm going to leave them now, I think. It's getting a bit dark, we won't be able to see them too clearly, and I'm going to start heading back towards the direction of Juma. And while I do that, let's head across to Tara.
Welcome back everybody, it's good to have you back. I hope you enjoyed the Ellies. And I'm hoping now it's getting, well, we've just gone through dusk, we are getting quite dark here now. I'm hoping we might be lucky enough to catch some eyes in the spotlight. And maybe those eyes will belong to a certain cat, who I'm not going to name now. Maybe it was talking about her that jinxed it, but who knows. But we are heading back towards the Sandy Patch area, so we're going to do another loop around there just to see. So we're on Gallego or Gallego. We're actually having this little debate there, Gallego or Gallego, otherwise known as a bush baby. We're on the shortcut and we're going to be heading west along Voyatella axis. Oh, but what I can do, just some thought while I'm here, people can still get past me. I'll pick something up along the way for you, for probably your last whodunit for the day from me. And I promise you, is that enough light there? There we go. I promise you it's not the same as before, but that's all I'm going to say. So if you would like to play along with whodunit, hashtag Safari Live, questions at wildearth.tv. Whodunit. I did pick this up quite a while ago, I'm not going to tell you where. But this is my second favourite animal. And we've had some wonderful sightings with these animals. So while you ponder that one, we're going to carry on. lady will show herself today. Oh, look who we got walking down the road. Lovely. Yeah, I'm just going to pull over a little bit more so see if it will walk past us. Oh, fantastic. Hello, little one. Quite a young animal. I'm not going to walk down the road. It's possibly because it's a young animal, it's still not sure of itself. So not as bold as what spotted hyenas usually are. Let's see if it will come around the bush. I did give it quite a lot of room, so it did look like a young animal. I don't think it's going to be the little cub that I called on Tumbela. Still a little bit too big for her. Okay, I'm going to move on. I thought maybe it would come out in the open if we were stationary, but maybe just change direction. Oh, lovely, spotted hyena. Let's see if we can't pick it up again. The fur was still quite long. As I get older, the fur does reduce in length. Still quite pale. Yeah, I think it's gone right off into the bush. Oh, that'd have been lovely to have a walk by us. Machia, welcome on board from Washington State. It's going to be morning for you guys, isn't it? I think, trying to remember now. Actually, let's just take this sign, just see if our spotted hyena hasn't come out. Try the western side of quarantine area, but we do have a scrub hare sitting in the road. So that is a scrub hare. So I'm trying not to blind it, that's why I'm trying to bounce the light just before it. Spotted hyena might eat a scrub hare if they could really muster the energy to run after it, but not likely. Leopard might, if it catches it unawares. The bush is very quiet. Somebody calling, but it's very distant, it's just on the wind. Maybe it's worth us sticking around here. Let's just do a lap around quarantine, you never know. Quarantine open area is one of those funny areas. Either nothing is there or everything happens there. But the calendar, everybody is asking about the calendar we used to do. So some of the, oh, you're going to sit there, are you? Okay. I don't want to blind you. Quickly, the difference between the hares and the rabbits. Some people say the ears, some people say the legs. Generally speaking, yeah, hares will have longer ears and longer legs, but it's to do with their offspring. That's the main difference. So hares, and she looks quite heavily pregnant. She's got quite a big belly on her. They'll actually give birth to young that is very well developed, and they'll actually give birth above ground, so that the young need to be well developed so they can move around straight away, and that's known as precocial young. The rabbits, they'll actually give birth underground in warrens, and the young are underdeveloped. So they will still need to develop the eyesight. They'll actually be born hairless. So that all needs to develop after they're born. So that's why they go and give birth underground, so it's protection for the young, and that's known as altricial young. So that's the main difference between hares and rabbits. But she does look heavily pregnant, wow. Are you going to let us continue on our way, lady? Still no rustling heard from the bush to her left, so I think maybe we'll turn around and just see if our hyena hasn't made it over to the quarantine area that side. But yeah, the calendars that we were making were from the camera trap pictures from the research cameras. So we're putting all the best shots for that year on the calendar, and the proceeds were going to helping run the research. And thank you again to anybody who bought those calendars, because that really did help a lot. Whether it was for equipment or fuel for the vehicles, that sort of thing, every little bit helped. So if you did buy a calendar, thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the pictures for years to come. I hope you don't throw the calendars away. We did also produce a calendar from the pictures that I took while we were on game drive, and we sold the calendars to help raise money for a primary school in Dixie, which is the village just out by the gate. It's not too far from where we are at the moment. To help raise money for sports equipment, and we actually managed to buy them a netball uniform and a few balls and a volleyball net, I think it was, that we bought as well. And hopefully they've continued to enjoy all of that sports equipment that, again, WildEarth viewers helped to buy. So there's two different types of calendars that we put together with all the pictures. So the Juma one for the sports equipment was from here, and then the research one with the camera trap pictures from the Ingwe leopard research. Now I'd love to find the spotted hyena for you again. So it looked like a young animal. Still, I don't think it's been out by itself very long. It didn't have the confidence of an adult. An adult would have walked straight past the vehicle and not even bothered about us being there. So I think it's still finding its way in the world. Come on, little one, where did you go? See any tracks we're crossing over. Just starting to check for the trees. You never know, a leopard might be lying up on the branches of the marula. There was the shine of an eye, single eye from a wildebeest, but we're not going to put the spotlight on the wildebeest. We have seen them today. And we don't want to show up where the prey is, because you blind them and give them an unfair advantage or disadvantage, and an unfair advantage to the carnivores. Same over that side as well. Zebra and impala again. So the food is here. Are we going to see anybody taking advantage of the fact that prey is here? memory that I have. I think it was both me and Mark out on drive, and there was a serval just in the grass just off the way here, and I was so excited. I think I shouted a little bit too loud, "There's a serval! Go live, go live!" And unfortunately the serval thought, "I'm not sticking around for that, thank you," and moved off. So literally as we went live, all you saw was the back end of the serval moving. More scrub hairs here. They look like quite small scrub hairs, so they could be the leverets from maybe late last year. Go ahead, Jamie. Negative. Final control, do you copy? Copy now. Sorry everybody. Blonde moment of the evening. Switched the wrong radio off. Told you it was going to happen. Blondie's on board. Panic over, everybody. Awesome. Oh yes, we had the who done it, didn't we? Raisa, Robin, Linda, Elizabeth, Joe, all correct with my second favourite animal. It was the rhino dung. Well done everybody, you got it right. Well done. It was dark in colour and it had grass in there rather than branches or twigs. Obviously black rhino, they are different. For those who don't know the difference, the black rhino are browsers. They eat leaves and twigs, and you find that in their dung. And the white rhino are grazers. They eat grass. They're my second favourite animal, and they're a lot more intelligent than what people give them credit for. Before I actually came out to be a guide, I did work in a wildlife park, and we had rhino. And the one male actually worked out how to use his horn to open his gate. That's how intelligent they are. There was two bolts, one at the top, one at the bottom, and he slid them open. We found him in the corridor that he had access to the field anyway, but just for their safety we brought them in at night. We found him there in the morning. It was like, oh, how on earth did you work that one out? So we put a little hook that swung down to stop the bolt from opening, and he thankfully didn't have the capability to hold the tab up to slide the bolt across, but never underestimate the intelligence of a rhino. So we're on the western side of the quarantine area. in the hope that maybe we'll find that spotted hyena. We'll still carry on working our way over towards the Impala Plains side. I'm so glad that you're also enjoying the animals, and you actually joined me on the 2 weeks earlier this year that I was able to come and drive for WildEarth. Oh, that's fantastic. I'm so glad you're enjoying all the times that we've shared together. That is awesome. Donna and Wendy, welcome on board this afternoon, or this evening now. Wanting to know if I'm taking my little dog Tucker to the UK. I'm just going to move this branch out the way. Just checking that no one's going to jump out the bush. And it looks like our scrub hair did move, just making sure I'm not going to get jumped on. Just while I move this out the way. And then I shall come back and answer your question about my little dog Tucker. I'm blinding myself with all the lights on Jigger now. I was just saying, it's absolutely fantastic, the lights that have been put on Jigger. I'm sure she's enjoying them as well. Especially for Rosie. I just got to plug myself back in, hold on. There we go. So yeah, Tucker, my little Jack Russell, also very intelligent, too intelligent for his own good. I am looking at trying to take him back with me, but until I know exactly what country I'm going to be living in and what I'm going to be doing, that will then dictate where he's going to be. But he's going to be staying with friends who he absolutely adores, and they adore him, so I know he's going to be in good hands. And then yeah, depends on what I'm doing at the end of the day, so we shall see. But again, I will definitely keep everybody posted. He is definitely a character of note. Unfortunately, he was a throwaway, he was abandoned. And he follows me around literally like my shadow. He goes everywhere with me. He is camp mascot, goes on all the research walks. I think actually if I spent the time with him, he probably could end up changing all the cameras for me as well. But no, awesome little dog. I couldn't have asked for a better companion. The reason why he's called Tucker, because I thought if he's not careful, he'll become bush food. Is almost coming to an end. Where did the time go? So that's the thing with the bush, time just flies. Unfortunately I haven't been able to relocate the spotted hyena, but we'll just drive a little bit down here. You never know, we might get lucky with Karula. You never know. Just making sure I do have all my lights on. See who else might be walking up the road. Let's say this is Africa, this is the bush. A lion could walk up the road, we could pop her head out. You just don't know. Maybe a bush baby bouncing in the trees. I think it was actually here to our right we last saw Shavinzi and Shivambalana together. Oh, hello. Oh, nope, Steenbok running away. Disappeared. Hi, Susie. Welcome on board, Susie. Wanting to know if I'll still be watching when I go home, and will I be chatting with you guys? I hope so. As I say, I haven't had internet. Unfortunately, it's been very sparse. So I should hopefully have more internet back in the UK, which is one of the reasons for going back to write up my thesis. So yeah, I'm hoping maybe one day I might be able to drop in and have a chat with you guys. I'll certainly try. Just having a scan around here. Remember, this open area here we had cheetah, and Mishu had never seen cheetah before. Mishu was actually the second litter of Karula, and the way he actually reacted to that cheetah, he'd never seen it before in his life, and he wasn't sure until he punched his head out a little bit too far. The cheetah clocked him and thought, I'm not sticking around for a leopard, and ran off, and then he became very bold and very sure of himself. Great to hear from you, and also talking about the amazing behaviour we actually witnessed when Induna was playing cat and mouse with a baby monkey. That also absolutely incredible to see behaviour from a leopard, and the fact he was being so gentle with that baby monkey really, it blew us away. It really did blow us away. Oh, we might have something of interest. I can find where the road is. There we go. About there? Ah! How's that? Well spotted. Hopefully I've got the light right for you. Well spotted. It just goes to show. Sharp eyes, you can see so much. Oh, thank you so much, everybody, and I would love to spend the whole night here with you guys, but unfortunately we are going to have to say goodbye, and it's just been fantastic to drive around, reminisce with you all, see a few wonderful things this afternoon, and it might not have been big animals, but that's the bush. Any little thing, any animal behaviour is always worth watching and just learning about, and that's one thing I love about the bush. You just never know what you're going to come across. It has been fantastic. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you so much for wonderful camera work. I'm still blown away by how quickly you could keep up with everything. And guess what? I didn't lose him off the back of the vehicle. He's still here. You can hear him. But thank you to everybody back home with all the well wishes and everything. It It means so much to have been able to spend this time with you and share all of this with you, and to have your support as I'm going through the rest of my career as well. It's just been wonderful, so thank you so much. And I'm not going to go away, I'm still going to be in touch with you for sure. But thank you on behalf of everybody here at WildEarth. Take care of wherever you are and tune in. These guys, you're in great hands. It is a fantastic team, and I think they're going to show you some wonderful things on board Jigger and Wendy and the other vehicles. So take care everybody, enjoy WildEarth, it is such a treasure. Bye for now.